In just a few decades, over 30 million wild boars have spread across continents, turning into a global nightmare. These invasive brutes aren't just aggressive, they're growing smarter by the year, causing billions of dollars in damage to agriculture and native ecosystems. From sniper helicopters to poison and even steel corral traps, humans have tried everything. Yet paradoxically, wild boars continue to multiply by the millions, as if defying every limit of control ever imposed by mankind. What's really going on? Could there be a critical flaw in how we're deploying these traps? One that's letting them slip through and grow harder to catch? This is a battle that, if lost, could cost the planet dearly. Join Agriculture Insight as we uncover the secrets behind building the perfect trap, and dive deep into how the world's most cunning invaders are being tamed and transformed into a valuable resource for a multi-million-dollar commercial industry. Let's begin. It's time to face the beast. In the United States, farmers are facing off against more than 9 million wild boars, a biological army so massive that if they were to occupy their own territory all at once, they'd need more land than the entire state of Texas just to contain them. But why have we always feared and tried to eliminate this creature? To answer that question, we have to go back to the 1500s. When humans began great transoceanic migrations, bringing with them just a handful of wild boar stock from the Eurasian region to North America, either for meat or recreational hunting. But through a mix of human carelessness and the cunning of this non-native species, some escaped, bred with domestic pigs, and over time evolved into a hybrid force, stronger, more aggressive, and capable of wiping out 3 hectares of corn in under an hour, causing billions in damage. Without natural predators to stop them, wild boars spread like wildfire. In this escalating battle, traps became more than tools. They became the last line of defense, where human intelligence clashes with raw, feral instinct. Ironically, it's the traps themselves that are now backfiring. Placed wrong, timed worse, outsmarted, every time. The result? Wild boars aren't just surviving, they're thriving. Because we've overlooked a brutal truth. Wild boars are one of the most reproductively explosive, invasive species on the planet. If we fail to eliminate over 70% of the population each year, their birth rates surge. From 4 to 6 piglets per litter to 8 to 12, with young maturing in just a few months. The population doesn't just grow, it detonates, now exceeding 30 million and spreading across continents. Before we explore the surprising world of wild boar farming, let's first learn how to build the perfect trap by understanding the behavior of this invasive species and avoiding the critical mistakes so many people still make. Because in this battle, the cost of a single mistake isn't just one failed trap. It could be an entire ecosystem lost. The first and most common mistake in controlling one of today's most dangerous invasive species is designing the corral trap too small, when in fact this initial step demands absolute precision and careful planning. Currently, circular steel frame corral traps are the most widely used strategy in the battle against wild boars. A standard trap typically measures 9 to 12 meters in diameter and stands 1.5 meters tall, spacious enough to capture an entire sounder of 15 to 30 boars in a single drop. If the trap is too small and fails to capture the whole group, even a few escapees can learn to avoid it forever. Next, wild boars are highly intelligent and capable of identifying structural weaknesses in a trap. That's why the entire framework, from steel frame to fencing, must be constructed using high tensile materials, securely welded or bolted in place. The reason is simple. A fully grown wild boar, standing nearly 1 meter tall and weighing up to 200 kilograms, can ram with enough force to bend steel fencing if the trap isn't built strong enough. However, some farmers still use substandard materials such as thin wire mesh, chain link fencing, wooden posts, or even industrial plastic netting to cut costs. The result is not only a failed capture, but worse. We unintentionally teach this invasive species yet another survival lesson, making them increasingly harder to control with each failed attempt. The trap gate is the critical factor that determines success or failure. It must be made of high-tensile steel, equipped with a fast and decisive sliding or drop mechanism, and reinforced at the base to prevent it from being forced open. When confined, wild boars may ram the gate edge with their heads in a powerful attempt to escape. Among modern designs, the remote-controlled drop gate is considered the most effective option. Integrated with cameras and sensors, it allows the operator to monitor the herd from a distance and trigger the gate only when the entire group is inside, minimizing the risk of closing too early and capturing only a few individuals. While a sturdy, well-built trap is a necessary condition, the factor that determines up to 60% of success in any wild boar hunt is the trap's placement. This is a step many people tend to overlook, often leading to traps being set in locations far from where wild boars usually roam, rendering the entire effort useless. Wild boars are primarily nocturnal feeders, with peak activity between 8 p.m. and 4 a.m. Therefore, setting traps in areas that show strong nighttime activity is absolutely crucial. Ideal locations include footpaths with visible tracks, disturbed soil, wallowing spots, bedding areas, or pathways connecting dense forest to farmland, common routes used by boars as they stealthily search for food. Once the trap is properly positioned, the next crucial step is to entice the herd to enter voluntarily, without suspicion. This is the purpose of the baiting phase, the critical transition that transforms a lifeless steel structure into a simulated safe zone rich in biological appeal. There are many bait recipes, but the most potent and commonly used ingredients include dried corn, expired milk or sugary soda, beer or yeast, and fruit jelly or gelatin. These are mixed thoroughly and sealed in a plastic barrel or thick bag, then left to ferment for 3 to 5 days in a shaded area or buried under straw to maintain warmth and avoid direct sunlight. This bait not only attracts them from a distance, but also encourages them to linger, digging and foraging, creating the ideal conditions for trap activation. Bait distribution also requires strategy. Begin scattering the bait outside the trap and gradually lead it toward the center, moving the line inward night by night. This progressive approach makes the boars feel naturally guided, not forced, and increasingly comfortable inside the trap. Some trappers even bury the bait in shallow holes, 20 to 30 centimeters deep, instead of spreading it on the surface. The scent from underground not only travels farther and lasts longer, but also encourages rooting behavior, prolonging their stay and reinforcing the illusion of a natural food source. The baiting phase typically lasts from 3 to 7 days, depending on the herd's behavior. During this time, the trap gate remains completely open to allow free entry and exit. At this stage, many might assume it's time to trigger the trap, but in reality, the moment of gate closure is the most critical and also the easiest to get wrong. Closing the trap too early may only capture a few individuals, while the rest escape and become highly alert. Waiting too long, on the other hand, risks the herd relocating their feeding grounds and never returning. That's why every movement of the herd is closely monitored using infrared cameras or motion sensors. When 70 to 90% of the group consistently ventures deep inside the trap, especially across multiple consecutive nights, That's the signal the golden moment has arrived. When the gate slams shut, the trapped wild boars often enter a state of extreme panic. But it's also the moment when the farmer reaps the reward of a well-executed hunting strategy built on patience, planning, and precision. Inside the enclosure, the boars will charge around wildly, slam into the fences, attempt to climb out, or try to tear through the mesh. That's why a post-trap response must be carried out immediately. The capture team needs to be on site as quickly as possible, ideally within 1 to 2 hours. Any delay increases the chance of the remaining boars becoming wary and avoiding the location, while also heightening the distress of the captured animals, potentially leading to injuries or structural damage to the trap if it's not built to withstand such force. Despite its many advantages, the corral trap still comes with several drawbacks that users must carefully consider. First, the initial investment is quite high, potentially 3 to 5 times more than simpler trap types. Corral traps are also bulky, labor-intensive to set up, and their effectiveness often depends heavily on human operation and electronic equipment. In most cases, humane culling is required. However, if conditions allow and food safety is ensured, the outcome of a successful trapping operation can sometimes turn into a free community barbecue, an unexpected reward after a tense and demanding hunt. But while the West struggles to control them, the East is finding ways to profit from millions of wild boars. When given the chance to be cared for and live a fulfilling life, even the wildest creatures can grow gentle, paving the way for a bold new chapter in sustainable agriculture. But to successfully domesticated wild boars, 3 core factors must be addressed simultaneously: wild instincts, living environment, and genetic traits. If even one of these elements is neglected, the domestication process is likely to fail. First, instead of attempting to domesticate wild boars directly, which are notoriously difficult to manage and highly reactive when confined, farms opt to crossbreed wild boars with domestic pigs to create a more stable hybrid. As a result, these hybrids retain the muscular build, thick coat, and rich, distinctive flavor of wild boar meat, but are easier to care for, less likely to damage enclosures, and pose a lower risk of aggression toward handlers. The next key factor is the living environment. In China, wild boar farming is typically organized under a semi-wild model. The animals are raised in large fenced areas spanning thousands of square meters, designed to closely mimic their natural habitat. These active animals are especially fond of wallowing in mud, a behavior encouraged by farmers to help cool their bodies and repel parasites, further supporting their health and reducing stress by preserving natural behaviors. Disease control is approached in a sustainable and animal-friendly way. Rather than relying heavily on antibiotics, farmers prioritize hygiene, daily behavioral observation, and herbal supplements for disease prevention. Each animal is tagged with an ear ID for traceability, growth monitoring, and epidemiological management. After 10 to 12 months, the boars typically reach 60 to 90 kilograms, around a third of the size of a fully grown wild boar in the wild, and are ready for market. The result is an annual supply of around 100,000 tons of firm, flavorful meat, a premium delicacy priced up to 3 times higher than regular pork, increasingly popular in China and across several Asian countries. From a global threat to a sustainable resource, wild boars are forcing us to rethink how we balance control, coexistence, and commerce. Imagine standing in the middle of a vast prairie where the wind sweeps across endless grasslands and majestic herds of bison move in quiet harmony. Welcome to the United States, home to over 400,000 bison raised to serve a rapidly growing premium food industry. Precisely because of its high-value meat and hide, as well as strategic purposes, bison became the target of wolves, bears, and humans for nearly 50 years, causing their population to plummet from over 30 million to just around 500 individuals. Thanks to conservation efforts and the growth of commercial farming, the global bison population has made a strong recovery, now exceeding 500,000 individuals, becoming a symbol of North America's wild spirit, often referred to as the Buffalo of America. So have you ever seen a real bison in person? Bison may not possess the complex intelligence of dolphins or crows, but they exhibit a remarkable form of survival intelligence. Remarkably, when living in a safe and stable space, bison become highly curious, exploring and interacting with their surroundings like a child discovering the world for the first time. Approximately 95% of bison today are raised to serve the premium meat market. Compared to beef, bison meat is more premium, with up to 3 times less fat, twice the amount of iron, and high levels of omega-3s, zinc, and vitamin B12, supporting immune health, reducing cholesterol, and notably raised without antibiotics or growth hormones. And every story has a beginning. For these two-horned warriors of the plains, it all starts with the most ancient instinct of their kind, the bison rut. Interestingly, bison are a polygynous species, where a dominant male mates with multiple females in the herd. To earn this mating right, a bull must first win battles against rival males. At the start of the season, bulls begin marking their territory by pawing the ground, rolling in dust, or even in their own urine. A pungent signal of dominance aimed at rivals and a primal call to nearby females. Once a target is set, they charge at each other with full force, using both horns and foreheads, ready to bleed or break horns to earn the right to pass on their genes to the next generation. This process is crucial, as the victor not only gains mating rights but also secures dominance and leadership within the herd, while weaker males may never get the chance to mate if they are not strong enough to compete. After defeating their rivals, the dominant bull begins approaching a chosen female by circling her, sniffing her body, and emitting low, rumbling sounds, a primal invitation fueled by surging hormones. They communicate through their own subtle language, and once the female accepts, mating happens quickly and decisively, lasting only a few seconds. But a single mating is never enough. With boundless energy, the bull continues seeking out other females in the herd, repeating the cycle of conquest and mating throughout the rutting season. During this time, a mature male may mate with 10 to 20 females, passing on superior genetic traits, from strength and endurance to heightened survival instincts, to the next generation born into the harsh wilderness. After mating, female bison enter gestation period that lasts about 9 months. Typically, mother bison gives birth to a single calf in late spring or early summer of the following year. The birthing process happens naturally, without human intervention. Remarkably, just minutes after birth, a bison calf can stand and follow its mother. A clear sign of the strong survival instincts of this wild and resilient species. That's why raising a young bison also requires a uniquely careful and specialized process. Before we dive into how young bison are raised, let's take a moment to visit one of their closest and most commonly mistaken relatives, the yak, a true symbol of resilience and survival in the unforgiving heights of the Himalayas. Unlike the wild and powerful bison, The yak has a gentler temperament and can be bred through artificial insemination. This method offers several advantages, such as reducing stress for both males and females, improving selective breeding, and optimizing reproductive efficiency. After about 8 months of pregnancy, the yak calf is born. The mother stays close by, shielding her baby from the icy mountain winds with her body, gently leading the way, and nursing it regularly with rich, nourishing milk. Rather than pushing her calf to fend for itself too soon, the yak mother raises it with patient companionship, protecting each of its first steps, like a living shield in a harsh and unforgiving landscape. In contrast, mother bison choose to raise their young in wide-open, perilous landscapes, where survival instincts are forged from an early age. From their very first days, bison calves must learn to keep up with the herd across vast grasslands, respond swiftly to warning calls from their mothers, and even practice swimming through fast-flowing rivers, all essential skills for surviving in the harsh and untamed wilderness. Although shaped by natural instincts and guided by their mothers, young bison still require active human care during the first few weeks of life to ensure stable development in commercial farming settings. At modern bison ranches, calves are closely monitored during their first 6 months, the period of their fastest growth. From just 20 to 30 kilograms at birth, they can reach over 150 kilograms in half a year. By the age of 4 to 6 months, bison calves begin weaning and transition to a diet consisting entirely of natural grasses, dry hay, alfalfa, grains, and occasionally organic protein supplements. The key to raising hundreds of thousands of high-quality bison lies in combining controlled farming systems with expansive natural grazing. Regular movement in open pastures helps bison build lean, solid muscle, a core factor behind the unique flavor and premium value of this red meat. Despite their bulky and rugged appearance, bison are surprisingly affectionate animals that form strong emotional bonds with humans, especially with those who regularly feed them, monitor their health, and spend time around the herd.
Hey, buddy. Hi. Hi.
Effective herd management is also a crucial part of large-scale bison farming. To optimize monitoring and ensure safety across vast grazing areas, many modern ranches now use drones to track herd movement, detect abnormalities, and assist with precise feed distribution. From a tiny calf that at first resembles a dairy cow, a bison can grow to weigh up to 1 ton in just 2 years, far surpassing industrial cattle in both size and muscle mass, with its signature massive shoulder hump unmatched by any other livestock species. Although bison are raised in semi-wild conditions and spend most of their time outdoors, they still need to be gathered periodically for health checks and vaccinations. Like other hoofed animals, such as the Asian water buffalo, bison are also prone to various diseases, especially those affecting the respiratory system, joints, and hooves. Each individual is also tagged with an electronic ear ID, assigned a number, and tracked with a personal growth record. To ensure safety during these procedures for these living tanks, a squeeze chute, a specialized restraint device, is absolutely essential. Built with ultra-durable steel, the chute gently compresses both sides of the bison's body to keep it still for a short period, preventing sudden movements that could lead to the animal breaking through fences or injuring itself or handlers. Without this device, how many people do you think it would take to hold down one of these powerful giants? From this point, mature bison are typically directed into one of 2 main paths, depending on their purpose. Either they are sent to auction, usually high-quality breeding stock, or individuals selected to balance herd structure, or they are processed directly at the farm for premium red meat production. Each year, Approximately 8,000 to 10,000 bison are sold at specialized auctions across the United States and Canada, based on factors such as age, breed, weight, genetic background, and reproductive potential. Prices can range from $3,000 to over $20,000 per animal. Meanwhile, around 500 bison are slaughtered each day, the primary way this rare red meat makes its way to the tables of consumers who are increasingly seeking it out around the world. At the processing facility, bison are brought into a controlled environment where temperature, hygiene, and operations are strictly regulated. After stunning and bleeding, the carcass moves into the next stage where the skin is carefully removed by making an initial incision with a specialized knife, starting from the groin up to the chest, then extending along the limbs. While large-scale beef processing in the U.S., with over 30 million cattle slaughtered annually, typically relies heavily on automated machinery and conveyor systems, bison processing is notably different. Due to their size, strength, and lower slaughter volume, much of the work is done manually by skilled workers using high-precision techniques. Bison meat is divided into distinct cuts, each carrying its own culinary story. Prized sections like the chuck eye, short ribs, and lean round are highly sought after for their firm muscle structure, low fat content, and bold yet clean flavor. These cuts are ideal for whole grilled steaks or simple pan-seared dishes, where every bite is not only delicious but also health-conscious. Each cut of meat is like a slice of the prairie itself, carrying the dry winds, misty mornings, untamed dawns, and the quiet resilience of bison herds moving across the open land. It's a reminder that even in the age of modern agriculture, the wild still endures, not just in the meat we savor, but in the living memory of the land itself. Imagine standing in the vast highlands, where the wind never stops, and herds of alpacas quietly weave their own rhythm of life. Welcome to Peru, home to over 4 million alpacas, accounting for nearly 80% of the world's total population. Today, the footprint of alpacas has reached distant countries like Bolivia, Chile, the United States, Australia, and New Zealand, where they are not only raised for their fiber, but have also become symbols of sustainable, eco-friendly agriculture. One remarkable thing about alpacas is their incredible emotional sensitivity. If you approach them with patience and gentleness, they'll reflect that same gentle presence. But if they happen to encounter an overly eager visitor or even a grumpy farmer, a fluffy drama queen won't hesitate to unleash her signature move, spitting. Have you ever experienced that kind of moment in life? Behind that mischievous charm, the alpaca carries a natural treasure, a fleece that is soft, lightweight, warm, and virtually hypoallergenic compared to regular sheep's wool, thanks to its lack of lanolin. That's why this fiber is highly coveted by fashion houses like Loro Piana, Prada, and Armani, bringing in billions of dollars each year. And like every journey, it all begins on the farm, a place where sustainability meets compassion, and each alpaca is known by name and treated like one of their own. Unlike cows, goats, or sheep, alpacas eat very little, living mainly on natural grasses and hay. No industrial feed is needed, just lay out clean grass, and they'll calmly wander over to graze. There's a fascinating truth. The happiness of an alpaca is the golden key to producing premium quality fleece. That's why most alpacas are raised in semi-free or rotational grazing systems across vast highland pastures like those in the Andes. This approach not only reduces feeding costs, but also allows the animals to move freely, stay relaxed, and maintain optimal fleece quality. What's more, when grazing naturally, alpacas don't uproot the grass. They only nibble the tops. This protects the soil and helps preserve vegetation. Their unique 3-compartment stomach also makes digestion highly efficient, allowing them to absorb maximum nutrients from minimal food. It's this remarkable ability to eat less and thrive that makes the alpaca an ideal choice for sustainable farming, where even a handful of grass contributes to the making of some of the world's most precious fibers. But of course, to produce truly premium fleece from happy alpacas, a healthy diet alone isn't enough. Daily care is equally essential. From cleaning the barns regularly, since each alpaca can relieve itself up to 12 times a day, to carefully managing vaccinations and parasite control, every task is done with precision and respect. Breeding is also strictly managed through selective mating programs, aimed at improving both the fineness and color quality of the fleece. As a result, alpacas now produce over 22 naturally occurring fleece colors, making them one of the most color-diverse fiber animals in the world. And when it comes to pregnancy, alpacas are given just as much care. If you're familiar with how horses or cattle are cared for during gestation, you'll be glad to know that alpacas receive the same level of attention, including regular ultrasound checks to ensure the fetus is developing healthily. After nearly a year of pregnancy, the mother alpaca typically gives birth to a single baby while standing, and the delivery is gentle, guided by the patient instincts of a nurturing mother. The newborn, known as a cria, weighs around 6 to 9 kilograms at birth. What's especially remarkable is that, despite some initial wobbliness, the cria can usually stand up and take its first brave steps within less than an hour after being born. Over the next 2 to 3 years, this tiny creature will grow into a full-grown alpaca, weighing between 55 and 80 kilograms, ready to enter the next chapter of its life, its very first shearing. Before the process begins, the alpacas are brought into a quiet, clean area to help minimize stress. This step is especially important because alpacas are extremely sensitive animals. Even being handled the wrong way can cause them to panic or fall into a state of severe stress. That's why, to ensure the safety of both the animal and the handlers, alpacas are usually gently restrained with soft straps or laid on their side over padded mats, a far more comfortable approach compared to suspending sheep during shearing. But don't be misled into thinking that shearing is a burden for alpacas. Without it, their fleece grows heavy and dense, limiting their steps, trapping heat, and quietly placing their well-being at risk. Shearing lets them stay light and free, ready to roam, breathe, and enjoy the soft embrace of summer wind. Each alpaca can produce between 2 to 4 kilograms of fiber per shearing season. And among that, the fleece from the very first shearing, known as baby alpaca, is always more valuable due to its exceptional fineness and uniquely soft texture. This means that each harvest season, thousands of tons of alpaca fleece are only halfway through their journey, traveling from remote highland pastures to modern factories, where they are cleaned, sorted, refined, and spun into premium fibers destined for the world of luxury fashion. After harvest, alpaca fleece is carefully packed into large bags and transported to artisanal processing facilities. Here, a meticulous and entirely manual process begins. Workers open each bag by hand and spread the fleece across wide tables for inspection. With trained eyes and experienced hands, they sort the fibers by natural color, length, softness, and cleanliness. This is no simple task. A single facility may receive hundreds of kilograms of fleece per day, and every piece must be evaluated individually. The finest fibers, known as baby alpaca, are carefully separated, while coarser strands are set aside for products like blankets or rugs. The entire process is carried out without the use of heavy machinery, preserving the fiber's natural structure and intrinsic value. It is here, between skilled hands and quiet dedication, that the journey of turning a humble strand of fleece into a luxurious, sustainable product truly begins. Once sorted, the alpaca fibers continue their journey along conveyor belts to the washing area, where a deep cleaning process combined with preliminary combing begins. Because alpaca fleece doesn't contain natural oils like the lanolin found in sheep's wool, this cleaning stage is considerably gentler and requires neither harsh chemicals nor high-temperature water. It's a process that's more environmentally friendly and especially suitable for sensitive skin, which needs to be treated with extra care. At this stage, the fleece is soaked in warm water, around 45 to 55 degrees Celsius, mixed with biodegradable soap. Throughout the washing process, while the temperature isn't high enough to boil a chicken egg, it's just warm enough to soften the fibers, making combing more effective, detangling, removing debris, and aligning the strands in one direction. On average, each batch of alpaca fleece goes through 3 to 4 cycles of rinsing and combing to achieve optimal cleanliness and softness, preparing it for the next step, being spun into premium quality yarn. After being thoroughly washed and carefully combed, the alpaca fibers are moved to the drying area. Here, they are placed in specialized dryers operating at a controlled temperature of around 60 degrees Celsius, the ideal level for removing moisture while preserving the fiber's natural softness and structure. The drying process is gentle and even, allowing each strand to maintain its elasticity and original quality. Once the alpaca fibers are fully dried, they enter a pivotal phase in their transformation, the carding stage. This process detangles, straightens, and softens the fibers, turning them into a uniform, airy mass, an ideal condition for spinning. During this stage, the fibers are fed through a series of rotating drums covered in fine wire teeth, which act like intricate combs. These rollers remove any remaining impurities and align the fibers in the same direction. The result is continuous, lightweight, and breathable fiber strands called mecha. Depending on the machine and fiber fineness, each carding unit can process 15 to 30 kilograms of fleece per hour. After formation, the mecha strands are wound into large rolls for storage or passed directly to the spinning section. This roll form not only preserves the quality of the fiber, but also facilitates handling in the next stages. Carding plays a crucial role, not just in enhancing the texture and workability of the fiber, but in ensuring even twist and tension during spinning. Thanks to this delicate yet essential process, alpaca fleece begins to take shape, on its way to becoming soft, durable yarns that fuel the future of sustainable fashion. From thick mecha slivers, the entire process continues with full mechanization. The alpaca fibers are fed into industrial spinning machines, where they are precisely stretched and twisted to form fine, consistent, and durable single yarns. Once complete, these yarns are automatically wound onto bobbins or cones, ready for the next stage. Before entering the weaving phase, the single yarns undergo a plying process, in which 2 or more strands are twisted together in the opposite direction of the original spin. This enhances strength, stability, and ensures a more even texture in the finished fabric. Next, in fully automated weaving frames, the alpaca yarns are intricately interlaced to produce a variety of fabric types. From here, soft scarves, cozy sweaters, and other high-end garments are born, delivering not only production efficiency, but also preserving the elegance and refinement that define alpaca fiber. Beyond being woven into its natural form, alpaca fiber also embarks on a vibrant journey, the dyeing and finishing process. The dyeing process typically occurs at a gentle 35 to 40 degrees Celsius, using biodegradable, eco-friendly dyes that preserve the softness of the fiber while protecting the surrounding ecosystem. After dyeing, the yarn is carefully dried and moves into the finishing stage. Here, each batch is meticulously checked for color consistency and fiber integrity, then wound into small cones or bobbins, ready for weaving, sewing, or embroidery. Thanks to this delicate, environmentally conscious process, alpaca fiber not only retains its signature softness, but also comes alive in a spectrum of colors. Perfect for everything from culturally inspired handmade pieces to refined, modern fashion. After dyeing and drying are complete, the alpaca yarn, now soft, durable, and full of vibrant color, is ready to enter the weaving stage. In this phase, the dyed cones of yarn are fed into high-precision industrial looms where each thread is carefully interlaced to form wide, consistent, and beautifully textured fabrics. Thanks to advanced automation, these looms can produce meters of fabric at impressive speeds while still maintaining exceptional quality. The precise alignment of threads ensures a smooth surface, free from knots or imperfections, ideal for crafting high-end garments. The final texture of the fabric depends on the type of yarn used. Finer threads yield lightweight cloth, perfect for scarves or delicate tops, while thicker fibers create stronger weaves, ideal for coats, ponchos, or cozy blankets. This process not only preserves the natural softness of alpaca fiber, but also enhances its color, warmth, and elegance. As a result, every meter of woven fabric becomes the perfect canvas for garments that seamlessly blend Andean tradition with contemporary design. Next, the cheesemaker adds chymosin, the only enzyme permitted under traditional methods, extracted from the stomach of a young calf. This enzyme causes the proteins in the milk to bind together, forming a smooth, dense curd, the foundation of Parmesan's firm and distinctive texture. At this stage, precision is everything. With Parmesan, even a 1-minute delay or a slight deviation in temperature is enough to ruin the entire batch, and the whole vat must be discarded. By strict standards, each vat produces exactly 2 wheels of Parmesan, with the enzyme stirring time tightly controlled between 10 and 12 minutes, all within an obsessively narrow temperature range. After the chymosin enzyme is added and gently stirred in, the milk begins to coagulate into a soft curd. At this stage, the cheesemaker uses a spino, a traditional wire tool, to cut the curd into uniform, rice-sized granules. Proper cutting helps separate the whey more efficiently and allows control over the cheese's moisture content from the start, a key factor in determining its firmness and aging potential. The cutting and heating process continues inside an inverted copper vat. This conical design allows the whey to settle at the bottom, while the curd granules sink and form a compact mass, easy to collect without mechanical pressing. This method preserves the curd's integrity, keeping it firm and consistent, as required by Parmigiano-Reggiano standards. From each batch, about 300 to 350 liters of whey can be recovered. None of it goes to waste. It is reheated and used to produce ricotta, a fresh cheese commonly used in Italian cooking. In this way, nearly every nutrient in the milk is fully utilized. As most of the whey separates and settles, the curd begins to sink to the bottom of the vat, still submerged in warm whey. At this point, the cheesemaker quickly slips their hands into the liquid, gathering the entire curd mass into a large linen cloth and lifting it carefully to preserve its delicate structure. Without delay, the curd is cut in half and placed into stainless steel molds, marking the first step in shaping Parmesan's iconic form. Can you guess? At this stage, each fresh wheel weighs nearly 100 kilograms and will eventually shrink to around 38 to 40 kilograms after months of aging. During the first 24 hours, the cheese is still very soft and prone to deformation, so every step, from wrapping, molding, to pressing, must be performed swiftly and with absolute precision. After the cheese wheel is shaped and begins to stabilize in the mold, the cheesemaker performs a step that may seem small but is absolutely critical: imprinting the identity onto each wheel. This step determines whether a Parmesan wheel can be officially recognized and sold around the world. Interestingly, no modern printing or laser technology is used here. Instead, cheesemakers wrap a soft plastic belt, pre-embossed with details such as the dairy's registration number, production area code, and production date, tightly around the mold. Over the next few hours, under natural pressure, the outer rind of the cheese will memorize all this information, creating a permanent, raised mark on its surface. Without the need for labels or ink, just one glance reveals the wheel's full traceability, and the mark can never be erased or forged. After being imprinted with its identifying marks, each wheel of Parmesan is transferred into a concentrated brine bath, an essential first step in developing its final flavor and texture. The wheels are soaked for 18 to 20 days, during which they are turned regularly to ensure that the salt penetrates deeply and evenly from all sides, helping to form a natural rind and a dense, resilient interior. An interesting detail is that the brine is not replaced after every batch. Instead, it is continuously reused, with strict regular monitoring of salinity and hygiene levels. Over time, this aging brine develops a unique microflora, subtly contributing to the distinctive character that sets Parmesan apart. After completing the brining process, the Parmesan wheels are carefully sorted based on their production date and the identification codes embossed on their rind. From there, they enter the aging phase, stored in special warehouses where temperature, humidity, and airflow are controlled with near-perfect precision. The aging period lasts at least 12 months and can extend to 24 or even 36 months for premium wheels. To maintain quality throughout the aging process, each wheel is regularly turned, cleaned, and brushed using specialized machines. This not only allows the rind to dry and harden naturally, but also prevents mold buildup and protects the interior, like a routine maintenance schedule for every wheel. When the aging period ends, certified inspectors from the consortium assess each wheel. If it passes all quality checks, it is fire-branded with a red-hot stamp bearing the Parmigiano-Reggiano name and DOP code. This fire mark is the final seal, a permanent symbol of authenticity and excellence that cannot be forged. Before being cut and packaged, each wheel of Parmesan passes through a specialized polishing machine. This machine uses high-speed rotating brushes to gently scrub the outer rind. After aging is complete, whole Parmesan wheels are moved into a specialized cutting chamber, where stainless steel blades are precisely designed to split each wheel in half without damaging the internal structure. Each half is then drilled with a small hole using a specialized tool to check the cheese's hardness, aroma, and internal consistency, key factors that determine its final quality. If the wheel meets all standards, it is further divided into blocks of 1 to 5 kilograms, or shredded or thinly sliced depending on market demand.